It's not a bad drill. It's a bad boardroom. Makita just warned investors to expect a 31% drop in profit. And the decision that's about to shape your next tool purchase isn't being made by an engineer who's ever held a Sawzall. It's being made 8,000 miles from your job site. Contractors don't abandon Makita because the tools suddenly got worse. Most of them still swear by the fit and finish, the balance, the sound of the motor. This is a brand with 110 years of history, dating back to a small electric motor repair shop founded in 1915, built on quality that speaks for itself. But loyalty doesn't pay the bills if the company behind the logo keeps losing ground in the one market that matters most to the people watching this video. Milwaukee is now backed by a Hong Kong-based conglomerate spending aggressively on platform dominance. DeWalt is backed by an American public company doing the same thing. And Makita, for all its engineering pride, is being quietly outmaneuvered somewhere far away from any construction site. The real story isn't in the tool bag. It's in a boardroom you'll never see. One making decisions on a calendar built around Tokyo, not Texas. The real headquarters isn't in North America at all. It's in Anjō, a small city in Japan's Aichi prefecture, where Makita Corporation has been based since the 1940s, after relocating there near the end of the Second World War to avoid air raids on its original Nagoya plant. Every major decision about product timing, platform strategy, and where to spend marketing dollars ultimately runs through leadership sitting in that building, led by a chairman and a president who answer to shareholders on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, not to the contractors buying their tools at a Home Depot in Ohio. That's not a scandal by itself. Plenty of great companies are run from far away, but it means the North American market, the one full of contractors buying $800 impact wrench kits, is treated as the third largest priority in the company, not the first. Makita employs roughly 17,000 people worldwide, a fraction of the scale its rivals now operate at. And when a market is treated like an afterthought instead of a battlefield, its warning signs get noticed months later than they should. There's also a quieter problem underneath all of this. Makita currently runs two separate cordless battery platforms side by side, an older 18-volt system most contractors already own, and a newer 40-volt system built for heavier equipment, and the two aren't fully interchangeable. That's the kind of fragmented, cautious platform decision that a faster-moving company backed by aggressive North American leadership might never have allowed to happen in the first place. Here's where the numbers get uncomfortable. Makita's North America segment revenue fell 21.3% in a single fiscal year, driven by weak demand at home improvement stores. North America's share of total company revenue shrank from nearly 16% down to 13%, even as competitors doubled down on exactly that market. Then came the real gut punch. Despite fiscal 2025 revenue actually climbing and net profits surging by an extraordinary 81.6%, Makita turned around and warned investors to brace for a 31% drop in operating profit for the following year. Tariff exposure on Chinese-made goods and slowing construction demand were named as the culprits. Wait, it gets worse. In the most recent U.S. retail market share data, the leading power tool brands named by name were DeWalt, Ryobi, Milwaukee, and Craftsman. Makita didn't even make the list of named leaders. 110 years of engineering reputation, and the brand has become close to invisible in the exact market this video is being watched in. Now compare that to what's happening on the other side. Tektronix Industries, Milwaukee's Hong Kong-based parent, just posted record revenue of $15.3 billion, up more than 4%, even while temporarily pausing some promotions during tariff uncertainty. Strip that pause out, and Milwaukee's underlying growth was over 10%. That's a company generating enough cash to fund a $500 million share buyback while still pouring more than $650 million a year into research and development. And Milwaukee alone now commands close to a third of the professional power tool market in North America. Stanley Black & Decker, DeWalt's parent, has been doing something almost identical, raising prices to protect margin, restructuring its supply chain around North American manufacturing, and explicitly naming Tektronic Industries as a competitive threat in its own investor filings. Two public companies on two different continents, both treating North America like the main event, both investing like their survival depends on winning this specific market. Makita is treating it like a stop on a longer tour, one market out of dozens, managed from a building that's never once had to fight for a parking spot at a job site trailer. So what happens next isn't really about torque numbers or battery chemistry. It's about who's making the call and how fast. Milwaukee's parent company can greenlight an aggressive new platform push because it's chasing market share in North America specifically, where it's already winning close to a third of the professional segment. DeWalt's parent company just spent a year raising prices and restructuring supply chains specifically to protect its position in this exact market. Makita's leadership, sitting in Anjō, is managing a global portfolio where North America is the third priority, not the first, and a profit warning driven by tariffs and construction softness back home in Japan. The contractor holding the drill never voted on any of that. They just noticed, one delayed product launch and one quiet price hike at a time, that somebody far away was making decisions slower than the market was moving. And speed compounds. A platform decision that gets approved a year late in Anjō doesn't just cost Makita one product cycle. It costs the brand an entire generation of contractors who bought into Milwaukee's or DeWalt's battery ecosystem in the meantime and have no reason to switch back out of it. Once a contractor owns 8 Milwaukee batteries and a truck bed full of matching tools, Makita isn't just competing on torque anymore. It's competing against a sunk cost that gets more expensive to walk away from every single year. The decision in Japan gets made a little slower than it should. If corporate structure quietly shaping the tools on your job site sounds insane, you're going to want to stick around for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. So the drill in your hands was never really the problem. The problem is a 110-year-old company trying to run a North American job site battle from a boardroom that's 8,000 miles and one fiscal quarter away from ever seeing it. Milwaukee and DeWalt aren't winning because their tools are better. They're winning because the people deciding their strategy are closer to the fight, backed by companies posting record revenue and pouring hundreds of millions into research and development every single year. Makita still makes a tool contractors trust, built on more than a century of genuine engineering pride. But trust built on a workbench doesn't automatically survive a boardroom 8 time zones away that keeps showing up late to its own market. The question this video leaves you with isn't whether Makita can still make a good drill. It's whether a company that treats its biggest battlefield as an afterthought can ever really win the war being fought on it. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, subscribe for more stories on the hidden corporate decisions behind the tools you use every day.